Welcome back to Tea and Glitter, the podcast. Also, welcome back to me. Hi, it has been a minute. It has been a month. It has been quite the month. Thank you so much for your patience with me and for still coming to hang out with me. I really, really appreciate it. October was wild. October was wild. Let me just tell you, October, wild. First and foremost, it was Halloween month, spooky month, which is already incredibly busy for the world of entertainment, but it was also Orlando Pride. So it's also Pride Month. But before I get into all of that and catch you up on everything going on in my life, hi, hello, if you're new here, I'm Evelina, better known as Ivy of the Les Vixens. I'm a lesbian burlesque performer, a safe space creator, and I run the largest, longest running, all queer burlesque troupe in the United States of America. Ding. So I'm out here not just being a lesbian, but also busting my ass for lesbians and queer women. I am a fierce advocate for you to be living your best life. And on this podcast, I spill the tea and give you all that gay girl glitter on how to live a more peaceful, pretty, productive, and happy life. I'm so happy you're here that I could cry, and if you stick around, I probably will. All the OG listeners know it's rare for me not to cry in one of these podcast episodes, but that's because I'm invested. Guys, I'm invested in you and in us. Anyway. Thanks for being here. Anyway, let me tell you about how intense this month was. Will you allow me to have a moment to recap this month? Because I feel like I need to do it just for myself, but I would like to let you guys know why it's been quiet over here on the podcast. October kicked off with Girls in Wonderland Beach Edition, which is basically a bunch of queer babes partying for 4 days and nights, just like the regular Girls in Wonderland that happens in June, but this time it's in October and on the beach. Quote unquote. Actually, it ended up just being the hotel on the beach, and I thought we were actually going to be physically on the beach, but apparently that takes like a lot of permits and things to rope off public beaches so that they're relatively private, and it costs a lot of money, whatever, which I think is worth it, but hey, this is not an event that I'm producing. This is just the event that I run all the entertainment and the dancers for, but anyway, it was a wild and wet weekend, and I did, in fact, run all the dancers and do all the dancing as well at all the events. It was so much fun, totally exhausting, but so much fun. And then in October, we also had our circus show, our first ever circus show that we had at Cocktails and Screams, and it was totally unreal. And I think we're going to do that one in 2024, like as a big ass burlesque show. And then I spent most of the month prepping for Orlando Pride. Now, let me just tell you, last year was the first time in Orlando Pride history that they had queer women, us, the Les Vixens, being one of the headliners for Pride. And of course, this year they asked us back, which was wonderful. However, that was a lot of work for little old me because I had to write a brand new show for Orlando Pride, as well as get everything together for the parade. So the insurance, the float, the outfits, everything. And I do it all. So I'm doing it all by my lonesome. I do have great people in my life helping and supporting, but for the most part, it's me coming up with this entire show and all of the other things that have to happen so that we can actually be a part of Pride. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that you guys don't know about, but that's okay. I'm sharing some of that with you now. Fenton has joined us. That didn't take very long at all. Hi, buddy. Oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. Oh my God. I want to kill him. He's so cute. I won't though. Don't worry. So last year, our headlining performance was so iconic and it was incredible and it made people cry and all of these things. So this year I really felt like I had to at least get to that level of iconery. That's not a word, but I really did feel the pressure to make this one very magical and legendary and iconic. And I think we did that. If you were there, thank you so much for being one of the thousands of people who watched us, who cheered for us, who screamed for us, who stood up for us, who gave us a standing ovation when I walked out as President Barbie. If you know, you know. It was so epic. And to those 200,000 people who showed up overall for Orlando Pride, blew us kisses at the parade, we love you so much. Thank you for supporting us and letting us represent for queer women because there's not a lot of that out there, especially at Prides. Unfortunately, you'd think, but no. So it was an honor to do that. And I think our show this year surpassed last year, which was my goal. But it was a lot of work coming up with all that stuff just out of my brain, out of my little noggin, man. It was super worth it. I am so honored to be fighting the good fight for queer women everywhere. And amidst all of that madness, we had all of our regular gigs and all of our residencies and also random things like I performed at a baby shower and then I performed at a wedding and officiated the wedding. This girl has range, guys. I've got range, in case you wanted to know. Performing at a baby shower was super, super fun. Danced with some abuelas. Telling you what, hire me. All these major milestones of your life, let me be a part of it, okay? But suffice it to say, in October, I pretty much worked every single day. And if I wasn't working, I was working on something. And that left very little time to breathe, to sleep, to eat, and especially to work on this podcast. But I'm back, baby. I'm here. I'm queer. And I missed you, my dear. Thank you so much for being here. And I did think that November would be a little bit slower. And thus far, it has not been. So that's okay, though. We love to be busy, booked and busy. And if this gets out when I want it to, which would be Wednesday the 15th, tonight is our last big ass burlesque show of the 2023 season. And then we'll be performing the iconic Women of Herstory show. I'm very excited about this. I've been pushing this show all year round, and I'm really excited about my Joan of Arc costume. I did a Joan of Arc act a million years ago, and the upgrades on this costume are next level. So I'm really excited. If you did not buy your ticket yet, and you're listening to this Wednesday, November 15th, you got time, baby. Get your ticket, and we'll see you tonight. Okay, enough of a recap. You get it. Your girl was busy, but she's back. So let's dive into this episode, shall we? Today we're going to be talking about mean girls. Bullies, trolls, jerks, meanie heads, people who suck. Like, I think we've all come across mean girls in our lives or experienced hate on the internet or haters or trolls or whatever. I think so many of us are these little sensitive, delicate, fragile little human beings who are out here just trying to do our best, right? And getting hate hurts. It's confusing as well. From these mean girls who are so good at the art of mean girl behavior to online trolling. This shit sucks. And in my own life, I have seen mean girls of all sorts, and I've seen online trolls of all sorts as well. I run a troupe of about 15 women. Sometimes those girls can fall into cliques or behave in less than empowering ways. Sometimes these mean girls have come for me because as the boss of the troupe, I have to make a lot of decisions and choices for the troupe as a whole, and sometimes people don't like it. Sometimes they didn't get the gig they wanted. Sometimes they didn't get scheduled the way they wanted, and they're pissy at me, which is fine. Sometimes people feel a type of way and whatever, and then sometimes these girls come for each other, and I have to mediate or just navigate not booking them together or scheduling issues or whatever until their falling out is over. Which, again, women, they hate each other one week, they love each other the next. You gotta ride these waves. But it is a lot of drama sometimes, a lot of shit talking. And sometimes, to be honest, I've been super disappointed in how some of the girls have behaved, especially this one girl who was like the snakiest of the snakes. But she is not a vixen anymore, so there's that. I'm also a semi-public figure, and I put a lot of myself and my life out on the internet. And man, do some people just hate it. They hate what I talk about. They hate the way I look. They hate how positive I am. They hate my worldview. They hate what I stand for. They just hate it. And they like to go anonymous and tell me how much they hate it. Or they don't even go anonymous and they just post that they hate it. God, I swear, anytime I do one of those like anon things that you can do on social media or whatever, I can always tell that there's like one or two trolls who, goodness gracious, they just can't help themselves. They gotta tell me things. They gotta tell me what they don't like. And that's okay, you know? It's fine. It's just interesting because sometimes you can like tell it's the same troll again and again and again. And I have had people make like fake profiles and target me on like different social media accounts. And then you block them and then they make more, and you block them and they make more. And it's just, they just multiply. It's very interesting how people have so much time on their hands. Couldn't be me. I've also had the girlfriends of some of the girls who come to see our shows really, really just hate us. They just hate the vixens, and they hate me, and they hate that their girlfriends watched our show, and they hate that their girlfriends get crushes on the vixens. Hate it. And I've had some of those girls, some of the girlfriends of the people, do some nasty little things on the internet. Shame, shame, shame. Like, ma'am, I'm not trying to steal your girlfriend, so how about you chill and get off the internet for a little while? You know, go take a walk. Go outside. I think it's time for you to just take a little mental health walk because not trying to steal your girlfriend. I did have this one girl one time. She tried to get like close with me, and then she turned into like a total psychopath, and I found out it was because her ex-girlfriend, whom I had never spoken to or seen outside of like my job, used to write like poetry about me and write songs about me. And so this girl had all these weird ulterior motives and then behaved like a total psychopath. So it's wild out here. It's the wild, wild west sometimes. And I can laugh about a lot of these things at this point, but it did take me some time to get there because I have definitely been affected by some of this stuff. I'm a sensitive ass person. Like, I am super sensitive. I'm a big softie. I'm just out here trying to do my best. And so when haters come for me, it hurts. I'm not gonna lie. It stings. I'm like, leave me alone. And in the past, it's like sucked all the air and sparkle right out of me, which is the goal. A lot of haters, like, that's their goal, is to suck away your sparkle, but more on that in a little bit. But yeah, sometimes when I've seen things posted or shit's been talked or whatever, like, it can really knock me on my ass. And like, then I just kind of feel paralyzed with anxiety and sadness and like, why is this happening to me? Like, what did I do to this person? I don't think I did anything. I just existed. And I don't think I did anything to deserve that. And so when you get faced with hate, when it comes out of nowhere, sometimes it can be paralyzing. It has in the past ruined my day. And I think some of these things can totally blindside you, right? You could just be bopping along and then boom, someone posts something nasty on one of your photos or commented something mean, or a frenemy started a campaign against you and you found out through your other friends. I think something that really gets us with these things are when someone hits upon an insecurity of ours or something that we fear about ourselves. Like, if someone's being mean about something that is like super far from the truth, so it like doesn't even matter, it doesn't hurt that much. But when they hit upon something that we secretly feel insecure about the way we look or about how we might be perceived, it stings a lot more. We all want to be liked. It's part of our nature. We all want to be part of the tribe. And that all actually comes down to an instinctual need for survival. So much of what we do as humans comes from that ancient need to be part of the tribe, to be seen and heard and understood. It's all very instinctual and primal, and it may not be as black and white as like whether or not we have food and shelter. But that girl in your high school who ostracized you from the group and like made you feel like an outcast, to our brains, that's like the same as being kicked out of the village. And now how are we gonna hunt and gather all on our lonesome? So the feelings that can come up from being a target of a mean girl or a troll or a hater can be pretty overwhelming and instinctual. I don't want you to think that what you're feeling is overly dramatic or that you should be totally unbothered because you can see objectively that it's just petty and it shouldn't matter. But this stuff can truly affect us. From backhanded compliments and cliquey behavior all the way to like actual cyber attacks, this shit can really suck. It can take such an emotional toll. It can be draining and knock us down and be that 13th reason, you know what I'm saying? Also, negative experiences impact us so much more than positive experiences, and they stay with us so much longer. So you can have 100 comments on the photo you posted about how fire you look, yes queen, get it, killing the game, and one person can point something out negative and it makes you want to delete the photo and never post anything on social media ever again. It's crazy. And bullying, whether it be in person or online, can cause more permanent damage. The amount of people who have hurt themselves or worse because of online or in-person bullying is completely heartbreaking. But that's why I wanted to take on this topic. I think it is super important, and something shifted in me a little while ago, and it changed so much for me and how I handle haters, how I deal with mean girls and all of that. I think years of dealing with this stuff has not given me a thicker skin necessarily, because I'm still extremely sensitive. I'm still a big softie. I'm still, you guys know me at this point. I cry a lot, but I've been able to get perspective and to get a grip. And I want to help any of you out there who have had your self-esteem knocked down, your heart hurt, your confidence shot by a bully or a hater. What I'm going to share in this episode isn't a cure-all, and it won't mean that you will be completely unbothered by haters. But these are things that I have journaled about, and they've helped to release the vice grip of anxiety and paralysis that can happen. And I think it's super important because it can help counter the psychological warfare inflicted by haters by using your own psychological fortification. Because at the end of the day, the majority of damage caused by mean girls and haters and trolls is internal. We really feel it emotionally. That's not to say that it doesn't occasionally affect us in other areas of our lives, like friendships and our jobs. It absolutely does. But if you can wrangle the emotional effects, you are well on your way to winning, my darling. Okay, to start, I think it is helpful to know and understand that haters, bullies, trolls are not unique to you or to me. They're a common problem for so many people. So while yes, they might be targeting you for whatever fucking reason, they're just another troll, another hater. And even people who are angels of light and love and who do no harm and they just exist and who are beautiful and courageous and kind, they get trolls and haters. Like everybody does. And while that doesn't help all the time, I do think it's worth remembering as a way to maintain some perspective, because sometimes when we're getting hate thrown at us, we can feel super alone and it can feel very big and very heavy and like the world is falling down upon us and like we're the only people who've ever experienced something like this. Trolls and haters exist and everyone knows they exist. And they're just a really unfortunate reality of our experience in this modern world. You're not the only person to experience it. And you don't deserve it, and neither does anyone else who gets hate and trolls and haters. So remember that it's just a fact of life, and everyone, for the most part, understands that. I get that one of our bigger worries is not necessarily just the comments or the haters or whatever. It's that other people will see the comment that the hater left and agree with it or believe it or be like, oh, I never thought of that before, but yeah, they are XYZ, ugly, whatever. And I get that we worry about what other people will think when they see that nasty comment. But most times it's not like people are like, oh my God, this weird person who has obsessively commented on every single photo and video on this person's social media platform like a total psycho. They must be right. Wow. Yeah, they're making really great points. No. They look crazy. Most people who see those comments and the obsessiveness, everyone can tell what's going on there. They know it's just a troll or a hater. Like they can tell. But of course, it is that fear that whatever the troll is saying might make other people see whatever it is that we're insecure about. Like maybe they never really noticed before that you have XYZ or that you look XYZ or whatever. But now that the troll pointed it out, it's all that anyone is going to see. Like I get that. I get that fear, especially because sometimes people will agree. Sometimes people will think mean things or feel happy that you're getting hate. But babies, that's just a part of life. Not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to want the best for you. Not everyone is going to think you are attractive. As our Lord and Savior Dita Von Teese once said, you can be the ripest, juiciest peach, and there will still be people who don't like peaches. And honestly, that's helped me a lot. Like, just that quote and like thinking about that and just accepting the fact that there are going to be people who are not going to like me. They're not going to like the way I look. They're not going to like my features. Like whatever. Like I'm a pretty juicy little peach. But I know some of y'all don't like peaches. And that's just a fact. I know that some of you won't like what I say or how I say it or how I just am. And that's a reality that I learned to accept. I can't please everyone. And trust me, I have tried and it is exhausting and impossible. So let that go. Let go thinking that everyone is going to like you and that everyone's going to think you're hot, because that's just not going to happen. Even people who I think are the hottest people on planet Earth, other people don't think they're hot. It's crazy to me, but that's just a reality. And once you kind of accept that, lean into that, my goodness, is it freeing? I'll tell you that much, my friends. Working with the vixens, who are some of the hottest, most talented people on planet Earth, like this has really illustrated that for me. Like I've realized how much liking someone or finding someone attractive is so subjective and sometimes completely arbitrary. Like someone might like one of the vixens because they love her chin and they just think this other vixen is hideous because of their hairline or their ears or something totally stupid. I look in the mirror and sometimes I see things that I really don't like about the way I look, and other people absolutely are obsessed with those features and they think they look great. So it's just all so subjective. And once you stop gripping so hard onto the idea that you have to be liked all the time and that everyone has to find you attractive, like learning to accept that, which is an ongoing thing, of course, but it really is freeing and it helps a lot when you're faced with meanie heads. That's a scientific word for these kinds of people. Meanie heads, especially the ones who feel the need to comment that they don't like the way you look. Sometimes their greatest joy in life is to tell you all about it. I think something along those same lines that can help take back some of your agency and be very empowering is to acknowledge certain things so that people can't use them as a weapon against you. I've seen people online totally destroy a troll by agreeing with them or acknowledging what they've said. Like, for example, let's say some asshole is commenting on someone's nose, saying that it's big or ugly or whatever, and then that person responds and says something like, yeah, I have a big nose and it looks just like my grandma's. And my grandma was a badass. So every time I look in the mirror and see my nose, I think about my badass grandma and how maybe I can be a badass too. And I love my nose. And then boom, the hater has lost all their power. Their comment means nothing. The person with the nose, she reclaimed her power and she can go about her day being as badass as her grandma is. You know what I'm saying? For me, the easiest example of this is being gay. Like, you can't use it as a slur or a way to bring me down because I love being gay. I am so stoked to be gay and no one can use it as an insult. Like, yes, sir, thank you so much for noticing. I am a dyke. But of course, that wasn't always the case. Like, before I even knew I was gay, I knew that the ultimate insult, like in middle school, is to call someone gay. But when I did come out, I leaned into it. I owned it. And then all the fear that I might have felt back in middle school or whatever being called gay, like that took a backseat to the authenticity and joy that I feel. So no one was ever able to use dyke or lesbian or gay as a slur ever again. The end. And she lived happily ever after in her sapphic world. It's true though. I think that's a big one. The more you can get grounded in who you are, perceived flaws and all, the better you will be fortified against the opinions of others and the rude people who feel the need to share their unflattering opinions of you. Maybe there are some things that you felt insecure about that you might be able to release a little bit by figuring out how to feel a little less insecure or lean in toward or maybe own even more. I've found that it can be so dang freeing to stop hating ourselves so much, but that's topic for another episode. But back to this episode, haters gonna hate. And that is such a powerful and profound statement. Okay, follow me on this, right? Haters gonna hate, right? You've heard that a million times. But let me break down how profound that simple statement actually is. Haters gonna hate. Who are they? They're haters. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna hate. That's who and what they are. Gross, insecure, spiteful, jealous, angry, pathetic haters. And what do these people do? They hate. They troll. They behave in these really shitty ways. And that's just who and what they are, baby. Just like those of us who are lovers, advocates, rays of light, those of us who are healthy, happy, secure, confident, what do? We love, we advocate, we empower, we support. We are not out here wasting our energy trying to bring other people down. And fuck it, to be honest, that makes us superior to the haters because all they have is their misery, their miserable little lives that shrink down. And the only way they can feel better about themselves or their lives is by attempting to bring other people down. How fucking sad is that? I feel better about myself and my life when I have left someone feeling better, feeling happier, feeling safe. Like, I feel better about myself and my life when I've been able to lift someone up. And so kind of remember that, like, which position is superior? The pathetic hater who is trying to ruin someone's day versus the person who's trying to support, empower, lift other people up. Like, it's very clear. Fenton's back. He said he's trying to lift people up. Fenton's a lover. You haters should learn from Fenton. The fact is, the haters have it all wrong, and I feel badly for them. Because if making someone else feel badly makes you feel better, yikes, gross, grow up. I know it sounds cliche, but those mean girls, they are threatened by you. They're jealous, they're insecure, they're miserable. They're unhappy with themselves and their lives, and it all stems from a lack within them. And then they see you living your life, existing, and something about your joy or your beauty or your confidence irritates their own insecurities. Now, this irritation can happen to the best of us. Feelings of jealousy or inferiority or lack. these are feelings that a lot of us will or have or do experience. But it's what we do with these emotions that makes us a hater or not. It's how we behave. It's how we let those emotions rule us. Some of these people are lashing out without even acknowledging or realizing or understanding the underlying issues, the deeper issues. They're able to justify their mean girl behavior. They're able to convince themselves, and maybe even some people in their circle, that their shitty behavior is cute or cunty, or that the target deserves it. But that is just the smoke and mirrors that they use so they don't have to be better, to take accountability for their own lives and their own actions, their own motivations, and their own behaviors. And someone might be hot on the outside, but if they are a mean girl or a shit talker or a snake, they got ugly insides. It doesn't matter if they're hot. I've seen some super hot girls be just gross humans, but they are better able to hide it because I think people see hotness and assume goodness. And that's not always the case. And also, hot people might seem to have more credibility, and you might think that there's no way that that person can be feeling insecure, but also not the case. I know a lot of really hot people who are painfully insecure. And boy, howdy, can that manifest itself into some ugly behaviors. When someone feels threatened by you for whatever reason, by your sparkle, by your happiness, by your light, they can lash out, even if on the outside they seem to have all of those things themselves. And like, why would they need to do that? But it's this lack inside them that it doesn't matter what the outside looks like. I will say, though, that I don't think I've ever seen a hot online troll. Like, I feel like people who troll online are usually unattractive. Also, not for nothing, I think that mental illness comes into play for a lot of these things, especially online trolls. Knowing that has also helped me in the past because like sometimes you can just really see that something is clearly wrong with this person. They need therapy, medication, hospitalization, something. Because mentally well people are not going around trolling people on the internet. They're just not doing that. And while this makes me feel incredibly sad for that person and sad and like I hope they get the help that they need. Knowing this also helps me realize that once again, it's not actually about me, even if I'm the one that they are specifically targeting. It's not about me, even if they're talking shit about me. It's not about me, even if they're trying to bring me down. Even if they're saying something hurtful that I worry might be true. Like literally realizing that these people are actually quite miserable and insecure and unhappy or mentally unstable. And that is why they do what they do. Not because I deserve it, not because I deserve to be trolled or have someone be mean to me. And to realize that happy, secure, confident, mentally well people are not behaving that way. I mean, these things for me were game changers. Just to like lean into that, to be like, dang, mentally well people don't do this. Mentally unwell people are the ones who behave this way. You know, because like I'm happy, right? Like I'm in my lane. I'm focused on being the best version of me possible. You know, I'm doing my best in this crazy messed up world that has no handbook. I'm out here doing my best to just like do no harm and just create in my own little world. And I would never in a million years leave a nasty comment or troll someone or send an anonymous message or anything like that. Like I just would never do that. And neither would like the people in my life who I know are happy and healthy. Like that's just not something they do. We just don't do that. We just don't. So realizing that this kind of crap only comes from unhealthy, mentally unwell, unhappy people was a game changer. It just was. It was a game changer for me. Because consider the source, baby. Like why would I accept and believe the hate coming from someone who I know for a fact is less happy than I am, is less healthy than I am? Like haters are not credible sources, Your Honor. I'm sorry. They're not. Here is the bottom line. I have never seen a troll or a hater living a sexier, better, happier life than mine. Never. And this thought has helped me so much. Like, okay, you're coming for me, but what does your life look like, huh? What's going on over there, little fella? Oh, you hate yourself and you hate your life and you got nothing going on? So the only thing that brings you joy is trolling people online? Ugh, you know? I mean, sucks to be you if that's the life that you have created for yourself, man. And I just decided one day that I just refuse to be dragged down by people who really need to turn the focus on their own lives, you know? I have not been trolled a lot. I've not like received a lot of hate. Like I haven't experienced a ton of mean girls, like, but when I have, like, these are things that have really helped me. And because I can also have like all the compassion and understanding in the world about why people do the things they do. Like I have so much empathy. Like I understand. The fact of the matter is that some people are just still bitches. And if they're being a troll or a meanie head or a hater or a mean girl or whatever, that's like a choice that they are making. And we all have choices. So I do have compassion for these people who have such insecurities, such unhealed wounds, all of these things, but they're still choosing to behave this way. And so I won't let my understanding and my empathy excuse their behavior, right? Like, be better. You can feel insecure, you can feel jealous, you can feel all of these things, but the way you choose to manifest that outwardly into the world, like, you got choices there, buddy. We all have, some negative thoughts and feelings, and we can all have insecurities and jealousies and all of that, but like, how you choose to express that onto the world is your choice. When people are being mean to us, it feels very much like we did something wrong. We did something to deserve it. And I'm letting you know right now, you didn't deserve that. Remember, it's not about you. It's about them. And as happy, healthy people, we know that we would never do those things. And so just keep that in mind, because I really feel like when we are faced with mean girls, trolls, haters, whatever, it can really hijack our brain and our nervous system and our emotions and make us feel just really, really, really badly. But if we stay fortified, I've used that word a few times and I really like it. If we stay fortified with these kinds of realizations, realities, reminders, we can stay above it in so many different ways. We can really remain as unbothered as possible when we're faced with people who are mean. Okay, so the mindset thing is like literally most of the battle, I think. But let's talk about some actual tangible things you can do in your life when you get a troll or a mean girl or whatever. If it's an online troll, delete the comment, block the motherfucker. Your online space is yours. Protecting it is your prerogative and it's your right. Delete the comments. Don't let that filth just out there lingering. Block the accounts, report the accounts, have your family and friends report the accounts. Protect yourself. And unless you want to counter the comments, like, remember when I talked earlier about like the girl with the nose who was like, yeah, it's my grandma's nose. I fucking love it. It makes me feel like a badass. Like, unless you want to counter their comments with that, don't give them any engagement. Trolls are desperate for attention. Desperate for attention. So starve them. Don't engage, don't respond, ignore the fuck out of them. It's totally okay for you to do that. It's also okay if you do want to respond, but I do feel like it takes the wind out of their sails a little bit when you completely ignore them. And I do know that if you, block them and they just keep making new profiles or whatever, like, it does get exhausting being on alert and just like constantly deleting comments and doing all of that. But like, sometimes it gets to the point where you just let them do it. Just let them do it. Who cares? And if you're like, I do, well, then okay, you can keep just deleting and blocking. I know that sometimes it doesn't feel okay to let these people just out there doing their thing, but sometimes it's all you can do. Remember, most times these online trolls are mentally unwell and they have a lot of time on their hands to just go after people. And that comes across loud and clear to most people who are seeing the comments and seeing the troll. I know trolls can be relentless and it can be totally exhausting, so make sure you step away from social media sometimes and go live your big, beautiful, actual life. Sometimes when we're being targeted, it can feel like our worlds shrink down to this little electronic box, but don't let it. Your life is so much bigger than that, so much bigger than social media, so much bigger than all this. And don't let those trolls make you forget that. Their lives might be small and shrunken down, but yours isn't. So keep posting what you want, keep sharing your selfies, your TikToks, your whatever, and if it irritates the pathetic parts of those trolls, so be it. What I'm trying to get you to see is that the goal for a lot of these trolls and haters is to get you to shrink yourself. And the best revenge is to keep expanding as gloriously as possible. Authenticity wins every time, even if it takes some time. But just know that and lean into that, and don't let these people stop you from expressing yourself in the way that you want to. Okay, so now let's talk about what to do when it's someone you actually know in real life, like someone at your job or your school or in your friend group, whatever. First, you don't have to be the bigger person. May not be the best advice, but you don't have to be the bigger person. You don't need to be super understanding and compassionate. You can call people out for their passive aggressive behavior, their shitty comments, their snarky little behaviors, their manipulations, their snakiness. But be warned, my friends, be warned. Mean girls in real life are typically pretty practiced at the art of mean girl behavior. They've been pro manipulators their whole lives, and they have mastered the art of subtlety. And the rest of us are typically not that practiced in this particular brand of warfare. So just remember, they know your insecurities. They know how to push your buttons. That is what they thrive on. And they can smell your fear. So don't let them see you sweat. Don't give away your power. I think that's what mean girls are really good at. They're good at making you think that you're not in your own power, that you don't own it. So remember that they're being mean to you because they are threatened by you and because they are miserable little people. So don't give away your power. There are a lot of really brilliant ways to call people out when they're being shitty. Like, for example, asking them to explain their quote unquote joke as if you like didn't get it, and just staring at them while they're trying to explain their joke, which was obviously just like a backhanded shitty comment in disguised as a joke. Or if they say something out of pocket, you can be like, that was an interesting choice to say out loud, and just kind of stare at them. But it can be hard to remember like all these great comebacks like in the moment. So do your best to just be aware of how you feel around certain people. And if you have to be around them, prepare yourself. Does that one girl in your friend group always make you feel badly about the way you look, but like she never does it overtly? Does your aunt always make you feel judged? Is that one person at your job undermining you at every chance they get? Get really clear on who in your life is a meanie. And here, of course, shocking, but I would recommend journaling about them, how they make you feel, what insecurities they bring up, and how they're doing that. I think we can get kind of fuzzy or feel like we're in a fog when we get around these real life meanie heads. So taking some space away from them, away from the situation, can help you get clarity on like what you're feeling and what you actually need to do. Sometimes you have to have a conversation with that person. Sometimes it's about setting boundaries, or it's about cutting them off or ignoring them completely. Some of these people just really crave attention, so you just don't give it to them. Just make sure that you don't behave in ways that make you look bad. Because I think sometimes these people are really good at like poking the bear, and then playing the victim when the bear reacts. And you're the bear. You picking up what I'm putting down? You're a cute, cuddly little teddy bear. So don't let them poke you until you react, and then you look like the bad guy, okay? And then there are people whose knee-jerk reaction in life is just to gossip or talk shit. And they're just not necessarily like bad people, but they don't have the tools to handle life in more mature ways. And for me, I am the leader of a troop of women, right? As you all know. And because I'm the boss and the leader, I get shit talked about me all the time because I didn't give so-and-so the gig that they wanted, and I didn't do this and whatever. It used to really bother me back in the day because I want the vixens to feel like this happy, lovey family, which it really does most of the time. But just like with any family, like people aren't going to like all the decisions you make. They're not going to like everything. The reality is that you can't please everyone. And I used to really try. And that was a losing battle. I'll tell you that, my friends, because giving one girl a gig means the other girl didn't get the gig. And then, these days, when I hear that a vixen is talking shit or whatever, I just don't care. I don't care anymore because the bottom line is that they love being vixens, and whatever out-of-pocket thing they're saying is coming from their own insecurities, their own issues, they're projecting. And after knowing these girls for as long as I have, I know that about them. And I know that they love me, they respect me, they love the vixens, but of course they're going to feel some type of way sometimes, right? And one week they'll be grumpy about something, and the next week they're ecstatic about everything. It's something as a boss and a leader that I can't take too personally. It's easy to lose perspective because I definitely want everyone to be happy at all times. I want everyone to be thrilled. But the thing is that I know that I lead with integrity. I know that I do the best that I can. I know that I bust my ass to give these girls the brightest spotlights and the best stages. So when they talk shit, I know that they're just projecting, and I don't let it get to me. And then the next week they're happy again. Women, what are you gonna do? Gotta love them. But yeah, on that note, if you have been in the past or currently a mean girl or a troll, I hope you grow out of that. None of what I've said is meant to shame you or make you feel guilty or any of those things, but I think you're better than that kind of behavior. Remember, we all experience jealousy and shitty emotions, but we ourselves can elevate our standards for ourselves and elevate our standards for our behaviors. Before you have that knee-jerk reaction about wanting to drag someone down, if something about them irritated your insecurities or whatever. Take a second to like analyze your motives and to like acknowledge if those motives aren't very flattering to you. Be willing to be honest with yourself, because I also want to make allowances for human weaknesses. I mean, we've all gossiped, we've all talked shit, like we've all done those things. No one is perfect and no one is an angel all the time. Sometimes the little devil on your shoulder wins over the angel, and that it's just part of life. You know, it's just part of being human. Sometimes that's what happens. But the more we work on our own shit, the less we will have that knee-jerk response to bring other people down. Also, being in like the dance world and the entertainment world, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of things. And I really value community over competition. It's sometimes hard to get there. It's hard to get everyone else on board because everyone wants their spotlight. And what I have learned is that everyone can have their spotlight. One girl's bright spotlight does not diminish another. I think that's really valuable to know that. I think it's really beautiful to know that. And I don't think that we have to try to dim someone else's light to enhance our own. But again, like I totally understand that we all have shitty emotions, and sometimes we don't make the best choices, and that's okay. But this is just a lot of food for thought for you today. And if you are experiencing any kind of hater, any kind of like mean person in your life, or someone who makes you feel really badly about yourself, like I hope this episode helps. I hope it helps you kind of like reframe things, get some perspective. I hope you feel a little more centered, a little more empowered, a little more fortified, and ready to take on whatever comes your way. I hope you feel a little more ready to expand and be even more you than you've ever been before, without caring too much about other people's opinions on that. You know, I wouldn't have started this podcast, or I wouldn't have even started performing if I let the haters win. And I can't wait to see what you do for the world when you are free from letting mean people bring you down. Thank you again so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I don't really know. I hope it was a good one. I'm excited about a couple episodes coming up. My next episode, I think, is going to be about self-care and not just like bubble baths and face masks. It'll be a little more in depth. So I'm excited about that. But if there's anything else you really want me to talk about, let me know. I do want to talk about more gay stuff, so throw those at me. What kind of sapphic gay shit do you want me to talk about? Because I love talking about gay stuff, but I just don't know what you want to hear. So feel free to let me know. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Give it a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. Don't be a hater. And like share this with someone who you think might need to hear it if they're dealing with that. Yeah, I really hope you guys liked this episode. I missed you, and I'm really happy to be back. And I love you so much. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. I'll see you in the next one. And if you are in Orlando, come to our show tonight. Okay, thanks. Love you. Bye, guys.